So if, again, one more time, questions, put them in the chat. I'll go through them after. And if you just want to share any type of experience, I really like to bring people together through doing these things. So somebody else might have a similar experience to you. So if I kind of ask a question, obviously you guys are all on mute, but just put it in the chat. I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys. So the first thing I want you guys to just think about is, what's been your experience with crystals, if any. So if you want to put that in the chat, go ahead, type a little in the chat, like, I have a crystal, I don't know what to do with it, or I went to a store once and they had crystals and, I use it, but I don't really know how to use it. Or maybe you're like a crystal pro, or maybe you've taken my course. I would love to know just like where you guys are at with crystals, because that helps me to make sure that I'm catering this little thing to you and that it makes sense to you. But a little bit about me. I've been using crystals since I was a little kid, which is kind of, I don't know. I think, we use things as kids. I think a lot of us might have done that as well. But we didn't know it was the cool thing then, right? It's the cool thing now, right? We're like, yeah, crystals are so cool. When I was a little kid, I was just like, ooh, a rock, this is great. But I started to do stuff with them. I started to place them places around my house. I put them under my bed. I do all these kind of things with them. And I didn't really know what I was doing back then. But what I was trying to do was manage my own energy. And that's really what crystals help us to do, is to, just kind of manage our own energy. They are like little God-given, amazing, shiny little objects that actually help us to adjust things in our life, right? Like emotions or our energy. And each crystal has a different purpose. They are all created by the earth in different ways, in different and unique ways, make for different properties. And therefore we can use those to help us. And so as a little kid, I was doing this stuff and not really knowing what I was doing. And then I just started to, research and figure out like how things were created and maybe why I was experiencing this energy. And this kind of became my own little crystal master healer as a little kid, before I even knew it was really a thing. And then, life happened and, went through some interesting phases as a teenager and as a young adult, and kind of fell away from my spirituality. And then through some other kind of interesting turns of events, I found my way back, because I was really at a bad place. And I was like, I don't want, to go about this from a traditional sense. I didn't want to go to a therapist. I didn't want to go, not that there's anything wrong with that. It just wasn't me. And so I was, I was modeling in New York City. Some of you guys probably have heard that before. And I was struggling with a whole bunch of issues with what I thought about my body and eating disorders and all sorts of stuff. And I kind of came back. I was like, I can't do that anymore. It's not working. It's making me miserable. So I just came home. And I came home and I was like, now what do I do with my life? I only ever knew modeling, and I felt kind of lost. And I didn't want to go talk to somebody about what I was experiencing. And so I found yoga and I found crystals again. And that was like my saving grace, because honestly, if I didn't have that stuff, I don't know, if I would have made it through some of the stuff I was really dealing with. And so crystals came back to me then. I kind of found one somewhere and was like, hey, this is something. And that's kind of how everything spiraled from there. I was like, I got to figure this out. I got to teach people this, because this meant a lot to me and really saved my life. Okay. So I'm here to share this with you guys, because it's been something that's really, really been there for me and supported me when I felt like I wasn't being supported. Okay. So I'm just going to check out the chat. I wanted to hear a little bit about some of your guys' experiences. So I'm just going to read this quick. Learning about crystals for about a year. And did some yoga with me. So I'm also a yoga teacher. So I have some people who have actually taken classes with me. Wanting to just explore grids, just somebody who's at the beginning of their journey, have taken classes but not there with grids yet. So it seems like everybody kind of has crystals, but maybe aren't necessarily sure how to use them in the most potent ways. Is that, shake your heads if you're kind of, with me. So that's kind of where I was when I started my journey. I was like, hey, there's this thing. I really like it. It's shiny. I'm going to buy it and I'm going to hold it. And I like it and it makes me feel good, but I don't know what I'm doing with it, right? And so a lot of you guys can probably resonate with that. And crystal grids are really a way to bring in intention to the crystals, right? So your intuition leads you to a crystal because you need something about that crystal, right? Some sort of energy that that crystal has vibrates at a vibration that works for you or is, you know, purposeful for something you need to welcome into your life. So say you feel totally like not grounded, you feel super, super crazy, you're going to be brought to a crystal that's going to help you to ground your energy. Your intuition knows that, okay? And that's why you see something and you gravitate towards it. We can say the same about people, right? We see somebody and you know, we talk to them and they're like, wow, they just have such good energy. I want to be around that person. And so that's the first step with crystals. And that's what most of us have experienced is that intuition that just kind of popped in and said, hey, this is going to work for you. And so now this is the second stage, right? This is bringing in intention, right? So we can now use crystals kind of layering on top of that intuition by saying, this is actually what I want to use the crystal for. And this is specifically what I want to welcome into my life, right? So for me, it was like, ooh, shiny crystal, this makes me feel good. But now I want to find emotional balance. How do I do that? How do I choose a crystal for that? Okay. So crystal grids are actually a perfect way for you guys to learn how to bring in that intention and a little bit of a routine to just that, you know, instant gravitation towards something. Okay. It's a little bit more of like an applied thing. And that's kind of nice because everybody thinks to themselves, am I doing this wrong? Right? How many of you guys have thought to yourself with crystals, am I doing this wrong? Yeah, shake your head. I'm like seeing like some people that are like, oh my God, me, I thought I was doing it wrong, right? And I'm here to tell you that like really, you know, that intuition, there's no way that you can do it wrong. But when it comes to bringing in intention, there are ways that we can really like speed up this process and make things come through super quick, right? So the first thing is thinking about your intention. What is it that you want to welcome into your life? So write in the chat really quick, you know, what do I want right now? You know, I want $1 million. You know, hopefully it's grounded in some sort of reality, right? Because that is an important thing. But, you know, what is it that you want to welcome into your life right now? Maybe it is financial abundance or freedom or a relationship or a life partner. You know, maybe it's a new friendship. Maybe it's a new job. So I see connection to my guides for spiritual path. Great, because I got a grid for you for that. Kind of did some, you know, like I had a suspicion, a sneaking suspicion of what I thought you guys might say. So what else do we got? Anybody else have an intention that you want to manifest? Let's see here. Moving. Yeah, starting over. Yeah, that's a really scary, that can be a really scary thing. So you're probably feeling not grounded right now. Yeah, I can imagine. So maybe something that is helping you feel that feeling of home. Does anybody else want to share an intention that they just have right now in their life? Freedom, abundance, yeah, clarity in career. Absolutely. I think that's a big theme of this year. So do any of you guys have businesses? If you have a business, shake your head. Yeah, are any of you guys coaches or kind of experiencing some transition like in your, you know, even in just your career this year? Because I'm hearing that a lot. Like, maybe I don't really like my job anymore and I don't really want to do that. And it's like that nagging thing. Yeah, like that thing that's like, you need to transition. You need to transition. You're like, no, I don't want to go there. Right? Okay, I know I'm not the only one that's like seeing things morph this year. You know, I've even kind of evolved my business this year. So I know you guys are seeing it too. Yeah, that's me, Tammy says. That's good. It makes me feel good not to be alone. So, you know, all sorts of different intentions. And so we can use crystal grids to really attract what we want into our lives. And so that brings in thing number 2, which is called the law of attraction. Okay. And the law of attraction quite simply is that like attracts like. Okay. So like energy attracts like energy. Okay. So on a very simple level, if your energy is good, if you're good vibes, you're going to attract good vibes, right? If you're not good vibes, you're not going to attract good vibes. You're going to find people in your life are pretty toxic, right? Or relationships don't seem to go the way that you want them to go. And so the law of attraction says that like attracts like, and we then apply that to this principle of crystal grids. So we have an intention, and in order to attract this intention into our life, or what we want to happen, we have to put out that energy, right? So we can attract that outcome. So if I'm attracting something from a perspective of negativity, then I'm actually going to polarize what I want to happen. Does that make sense? So if I'm like, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money, I'm actually attracting less money. I'm actually polarizing what I want. I want more money, but I'm actually attracting less money, okay? This is where a lot of us get tripped up with the law of attraction, okay? And the crystal grid works with the law of attraction. So we need to get really, really clear on what we want, what we desire, and really powerfully think about why, okay? Because when we think about why, and we kind of feel that in our body, it's kind of like we get into this place of like feeling that it could happen, right? Feeling that joy that goes along with whatever I'm searching for, right? So if I want more abundance, when I think about why, and I use this example a lot, those of you that follow me, you hear me talk about this all the time. One of my things as far as in my business that I think about when I want to attract money is I think about what I would do with it, right? Why do I want more money? Well, I want more money because my dream is someday to have a house in Cape Cod so that my little kids can run around on the beach and have, like I used to go there every summer when I was a kid. And I want them to experience that fun that I got to experience of just exploring when the tide goes out. Yeah. And like just seeing hermit crabs and horseshoe crabs and all these things, right? So now I associate my intention not with the lack of money. There's no lack of money. I'm like, wow, that visualization of having that is so powerful. It makes me feel so good to think of my little babies running around on the beach, right? So I want you now to, whichever intention that you chose, think about why you want it. And what does it make you feel when you think about that from a positive perspective? When you really get into that place of joy with it, you're just like, man, it's going to feel like the best. Like say it's a relationship. Like when I have this friendship or this significant other that's in my life, I'm going to feel so fulfilled, that I have somebody to talk to there at home every day. Or when I go to see my friend, for coffee, whatever it is that really makes you happy, right? So just think about that for a few seconds. If you want to like close your eyes and just think, what is that? Like, what does that feel like? So that's my whole purpose behind, why I have my business is because I can see that. Like I see that so clearly and it makes me so happy. And I love the crap out of my clients because it makes me happy. I'm like, I like them and they like working with me. And I think, wow, I'm going to be able to do so much with all this abundance, right? It's a huge power tool, to create the life that I want. And you guys have that power too. You just have to look at it, right? Not from the negative, but from the positive. And most of us feel, we can feel that feeling. You just have to look at it differently. So does anybody, can you feel that when you guys close your eyes and when you think about it? Can you write in the chat? Just let me know. Or you can shake your head like, yeah, feel that. And it's like, I don't know, for me, the first time I ever felt that, and you guys might feel it in a different place, but I still remember like the first time I really meditated and like got into like what I wanted, I felt like my heart was going to explode. I was like, it was when I dreamed this business up. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like, it hurts, but it feels so good because I'm going to be so, crazy happy. And I am, and I dreamt about that and now I'm here, right? So that's really powerful. Yeah, good. Everybody feels it. Cool. So when we bring in that intention and then we can make a crystal grid that's based on intention, right? So that's the whole purpose of a crystal grid is to manifest an intention, okay? If you just throw a crystal grid together that has no intention, it's kind of just a crystal grid that's thrown together. I mean, really, you know, it's not going to manifest anything. It's got to have power behind it, right? And that's the intention. So from that place, that's where we choose our crystals, okay? So we choose crystals that match that intention. I like to talk about crystal grids as like this kind of layering of intention, okay? And I taught a course on it locally the other day, and people were asking like the most mind-blowing questions because they're just like, well, could you do this? And could you do this? And could you do this, right? This can be as complicated as you want it to be because you can layer on intention in so many different ways, okay? You can bring in moon energy. You can bring in so many things to this. I'm going to teach you the simplistic way because like I kind of like to like live my life in a simple kind of, you know, way. And simple doesn't mean bad, guys. It just means ease. You know, like let's not make it more complicated than it needs to be. You know, it's the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Or while some people kind of, you know, play with the words a little differently, but we keep it simple, okay? So just choose 3 crystals that match your intention, okay? So I'm gonna give you guys some simple ones based on what you guys have said, but you can always Google crystal for blank, okay? There's plenty of good information, and if you go on my website, I have about, I don't even know how many different grids on there if you go through my blog, okay? You can totally just find a crystal grid for just about anything, and it will have so many different crystals. You'll never have to go on any other website, but you can always Google it, you know, that's okay. So if you are looking to, you know, attract financial abundance, okay, best crystals are citrine, green aventurine. You can use jade. Pyrite is another one, okay? Those are the ones that I use. Only pick 3. You don't need to go crazy with it. You know, you might see on Instagram like these crystal grids that are like insane. You know, they're like, oh my God, there's 20 different crystals in here. I need to go to the store and buy 20 different crystals. No, because your intention, being clear and powerful, using the law of attraction is what makes this work, right? So if you're thinking from a negative mindset, your crystal grid's not going to work, okay? If you're making it too complicated and overthinking things, you're not going to manifest what you want because you're not in that space of like feeling your why. You're like, oh, mental space, I'm confused. Just pick 3. Make it easy, okay? So those are some for your, you know, freedom, your financial abundance, those type of things, okay? People who are looking for relationships, friendships, rose quartz, rhodochrosite. It's one of my favorite ones. It's getting pretty hard to find. You can use any red jasper. That will help your relationships to be grounded and not like, you know, turmoil with them, okay? And then you can use jade and green aventurine, okay? In general, anytime that you want to grow something, jade and green aventurine are really good crystals, okay? Now for the people who are like, I want to connect with my guys and I want to like live in the spirit realm right now, which is like totally fun, you know, just come back down eventually. That's my advice. You know, you gotta be a normal person sometimes, okay? You can't be like talking to your guides when you're at work. I mean, you could technically, but people might think you're strange. Unless you do what I do. And then I can talk about my guides all the time and nobody thinks I'm strange. So your crystals would be amethyst. You can use iolite. That's one of my favorites right now. Clear quartz. Those are really good ones for you. Fluorite. Lepidolite is another one. Okay. So those are three crystal grid options. Okay. Just pick 3 crystals that you feel gravitated towards. Okay. For this crystal grid. So you got your intention, you got your why, and you got your crystals. Okay. So now let's talk about how to actually create a crystal grid. And some of you guys are like, Jen, I don't even know what a crystal grid is. What does it even look like? And that's all right, because I got you covered. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen really quick. Okay, so this is, and can you guys see it? Can you shake your head if you can see it? Cool. Okay, so this is your basic, most awesome crystal grid option that you can use, okay? You'll notice you have probably seen this shape before. if you're anybody who follows spirituality in any way, shape, or form, you're probably like, man, I see this shape everywhere. What is the freaking deal with this? Okay. This is the flower of life. Okay. It is called sacred geometry. Okay. Crystal grids are created on sacred geometry. Okay. And what sacred geometry is, if you want to think of it this way, this is how I like to think of it, is like imprints that are like in everything, in the creation of everything. Okay. It's almost like a footprint or like a blueprint to like life. Okay. So this pattern you will actually see in nature. Okay. This will look like a center of a flower. Okay. That's just one place. And all the other sacred geometries actually mathematically come off of this one. This is why I say use this one, keep it simple, use this one. Because this is like bringing out the big guns. Okay. You know, why go for like small fries when you can bring out the big guns? This is like the big mama, okay? It has like the most power, okay? When we kind of break down this sacred geometry, because you can break it down in many different ways, it gets much more complicated and specific. So just use this one, okay? And I'll send this to you guys all after this. So you can literally print this out and you can put your crystals right on top of this, okay? So this is the sacred geometry that we use, and we put crystals on the cross points, okay? So we basically, with 3 different types of crystals, work around the crystal grid from the outside into the center. So the intention is in our crystals that we have chosen, and we are putting them on the grid thinking about our intention, okay? So if I have a crystal grid for abundance, I'm going to start on these little cross. So see this area, this like 1, 2, 3, 4, this area of like 6 petals in the middle. That's where I want to put one. Okay. And then I put it on the next one, and I put it on the next one. If you stare at this too long, you will start to get dizzy. Okay. So just do it intuitively while you're thinking about your intention. Okay. So if it looks a little wonky, or you kind of, skip something, don't worry about it. It's more intuitive. Okay. So you're working from the outside in. So crystal here, and I'll show you guys an example after I, work through crystal here, you can go on these cross points, 3 different crystals. So this ring, this outer ring would have one type of crystal, green adventuring, right? The second ring would have another type of crystal. You could do citrine. The next ring could have jade. Okay. And that brings us to the center. So in the center, what you want to use is a crystal generator. Okay. So they look like this. If you don't have one of these, you can use a clear. Rule of thumb, use clear quartz. Okay. Use clear quartz, because if this is just like this is the master sacred geometry, the big mama, this is the big guns as far as crystals go. Okay. They call this like the master manifester crystal. That's what clear quartz is. So you kind of want to go with clear quartz, because it's like, why not bring out the big guns? This is my intention. I feel it. I want it. I'm into it. Use this. Okay. So if you don't have a generator like this, which means that it's flat on the bottom and it's a point on the top, okay, then you can use a tumble. The reason why we use this is because it is supposed to put energy out in all directions in an even way. But again, if you're sitting there thinking about it, you're taking energy away from the intention. So if you have a clear quartz tumble, put that in there. Don't stress yourself out. Okay. So we got 3 rings, and then we have the center, right? And that's our basic crystal grid. Okay. But before you set up your crystals, what I want you to do is think about your intention like you guys just did. You close your eyes, think about your intention, write it on a piece of paper or on the back of this paper when you print it out, and just put it there, right? So slip it right under the center. So you can flip it over and you can write on the center, the back of the paper, right at the center, or you can just on a little piece of paper, write your intention and put it under your crystal grid, okay? Because that helps us like kind of sink it in. It's like setting it in stone, like this is powerful, And I don't know about you guys, maybe you guys have experienced this too, maybe you didn't know that this is what it was, but here's one of the cool things that happens with the law of attraction. Have you ever thought about something that you want to happen and you're like, man, I really want that to happen, but it's just like it hasn't happened? And then you say it and then all of a sudden it happens. Does that happen to you guys? Like if you verbalize it, like you say it to somebody and then it happens. Okay, let me give you an example. My husband is an amazing manifester. It's disgusting. It drives me nuts. Okay, he has just the most impeccable, amazing timing when it comes to manifesting. He's so gifted. And I'm like, man, this is my life's work. And you got it. I mean, he doesn't even know anything about spirituality. Okay, so this is my husband. He calls me on the phone. He says, I really feel like I need a new truck. I bought this truck and it wasn't what I wanted. Like he bought this like rinky dink, like totally beat up truck because he's like, we're going to save money. It's going to be so good. I'm like, your truck is breaking down. So that's a bad investment. Anyways, it's a moot point. Anyway, so he's like, I think I want to get a new truck. And, what do you think? And I'm like, if that's what you want, I would rather you be safe. So yeah, we'll get you a new truck. He was at work when he called me. He said that somebody pulled into his dealership. Okay. He runs a tractor dealership. And he said, I like your truck. And the guy said, I'm getting rid of it. And my husband said, and this is a true story, guys. This is crazy. He said, I really want to buy it. And the guy said, well, I want to buy a tractor from you. That day, my husband drove home that truck. Yeah. Okay. So if you can, while you're doing this, verbalize it. It will help pick up that energy really quick, right? Some of you guys have seen this work actually in your life. You're like, now that I'm thinking of it, I did say that one thing and that happened, right? You might be one of those people. So verbalize it. If you feel like that works for you, it clearly works for my husband and it's worked for me, right? After I started seeing this happen a lot for him, I'm like, there is something with actually saying it. Even if you're saying it to an empty room, okay? It's because you commit to it. You commit to that happening, right? You're like, this is happening. This is true. And that's part of the manifestation process is us believing it's true now. And then it happens quick, right? So we're committing to that, So say it out loud while you're doing this little, routine, write on your paper, but read it. Why not? Read it out loud, You have to be like, honey, go away. I'm reading this and doing my weird thing. That's witchy. And people think is weird, right? And then you have a husband that can manifest that quick. Anyways, so write on something and say it out loud, okay? So put that under there. Start with your little crystals, working around the outside, first ring, second ring of stones, third ring of stones, center stone, okay? So then what we do after that, okay, is we just connect the stones. And I have a grid over here, so I'll totally show you guys, but I just want to kind of have that up right now. So we use a handy dandy crystal wand, which is quite simply a point of a crystal. Now, it's not double-sided, and that's for a strategic reason, okay? You want to isolate the energy going one way with this, okay? That's why it's kind of like rough on the other edge, okay? So it's pointy and then rough on the other edge, not 2 points, okay? You don't want, it's like you're diffusing the energy. You don't want that to happen, okay? So basically, I'm going to go around the outside, connect the first row of crystals, connect the second row of crystals, connect the third row of crystals, right to the center. It's literally like connect the dots, basically like a circle, into the next row, to the center, okay? All while thinking about my intention, okay? So I'm thinking it, I'm feeling good. And that's our crystal grid. That's how we set it. Now, this is not like Ronco, okay? This is not set it and forget it, okay? You guys remember that? Set it and forget it. And you're like, oh my God, yes, I do need that. I really need to make a turkey every day for the rest of my life. We don't want to forget this, okay? We want to come back to this, okay? So put it somewhere that you can leave it up, okay? That it will be relatively undisturbed if you have cats or dogs that like to get into crystals, because guys, they do. They will move them. I have a dog that would move a rose quartz that was this big around with her. She's a German Shepherd, so she can, it's heavy, but but she would move it around the house. Okay. So if you have a cat, they'll like this. If you have a dog and they're small and they can get up on a table, they'll find it. Okay. Dogs like crystals, cats like crystals. They totally understand the energy, probably more than we do. Okay. Put it somewhere they're not going to get to it, and come back to it every day, just for a few seconds, and think about that intention. That's all you got to do. You just got to think about it. Okay. And just feel it, feel that powerful thing that you want to attract. Okay. So that is how you make a crystal grid and you set a crystal grid. What questions do you guys have on that? I'm just going to open up the chat really quick. How long do you keep it sitting there? So I only do one grid at a time. Think about it. So if you have multiple grids going at a time, how invested are you in your one intention? Probably not much, right? And you're going to be able to manifest much quicker if you're not diffusing your energy, right? So just the same way I talked about this crystal point, right? So if it's got another point, it's diffusing energy. It's kind of like we don't want energy to be like leaking out. And so mentally we keep ourselves in the space of like this one thing happening and not a bunch of things happening, right? Because that's just like the universe is going to be like, well, Jen, what the heck do you want? Do you want a relationship or do you want abundance? Or, when you feel like that one thing has happened or that something else has happened that's made it null and void, that is when you take it down and move to something else. Does that make sense? So say, I'm married, but say I'm single and I meet somebody, I take it down, right? Because that's what my grid was for, and that happened. Or I decide, you know what, I just want to do me. I just like want to work on me right now. I don't want that crystal grid anymore, right? Like wish it well and then take it down and move on to whatever the next thing is. But rule of thumb, I like 41 days, right? Because it's like that's the amount of time that it takes to make a habit. Everybody kind of debates that, but I was taught 41 days. Some of my yoga people will like know why. It's like been drilled into our head, like Baron Baptiste, like 41 days, 41 days. And now it's just 41 days. But roughly a month, okay? Or until something makes it null and void, okay? Could you glue the crystals on the table? That's a fun idea, actually. The only thing is then you're going to have glue on your crystals. And when you want to take it down, what are you going to do, You're going to have to, I guess if you use like hot glue, then it probably won't damage the crystals. I suppose you could do that. But if you can get away with not doing that, I would say probably not, just because of ease of everything. Yeah. Do you need to start a grid around a specific moon phase? No, but if you want to, again, right? So this is layers of intention. We can keep adding to this. You could do it in the new moon, because the new moon is when you set intention and the full moon is when it's manifesting. Okay. So the idea then, if you want to do it around moon, is that we set it for the new and we work on it until like the peak of energy, which is the full moon. And then we get that to manifest. We take action as well to get that to manifest as we kind of work up the energy. Okay. And then hopefully it manifests by the full moon and we take it down. And in that rest of the phase, before we get to the next new moon, we're like thanking the universe, like reflecting, thanking, like, saying like, thank you, universe. Like you did your work. Really appreciate it. All that good stuff. And like, just kind of marvel in that and then set the intention again and do it that way. Hot glue. Yeah. You could give hot glue a shot. I'm always like, oh, my crystals, they're like babies. But generally it's not going to hurt, them. The earth created most of them with a massive amount of heat. So I think hot glue would be okay. Okay, so any other questions on that? What's the best type of crystal wand? Clear quartz. Now, the one exception that I make to this rule of clear quartz is if you want to use smoky quartz. What I use smoky quartz for is like a more grounding effect, right? So this is another layering of intention that I can put onto this. If I'm actually looking for something in my life to slow down, or like say I'm like my mental space is all over the place and I'm creating a crystal grid to help me feel grounded, I use smoky quartz because it's a grounding crystal, right? If I want to speed something up, I use clear quartz because that is like the master manifestor crystal. Does that make sense? That's kind of how I like to to do things. Okay. So if you have other questions, write them in the chat. But I just want to show you guys, you know, these are just the steps, okay? Decide your intention, choose your crystals, decide where you want to put your grid. We'll talk about that in a second. Cleanse your space, okay? If you have a smudge stick, you can smudge your space just for like, it, you know, don't like burn down your house, okay? You don't need to smudge your whole house, okay? You don't need to smudge every day that you come back to it, just one time around. And I just like to like light it, blow it out, and just 1, 2, 3, 4. I do it 8 times. It's kind of it's a sacred number, okay? It goes to the sacred geometry, if you know about like numbers and stuff like that. Again, another layer of intention you could add. You can get super nerdy and look up all the numbers of sacred numbers and like get all crazy with it, okay? I was like 8 because I've been doing it forever now, and that's, you know, now it's habit, okay? Think about your intention. Set up your grid from the outside in with your little intention under the center and thinking about what you're wanting to manifest. Activate using your crystal wand. Just connect the dots, like, you know, playing your little connect the dots. Come back daily. Give it some love, okay? Now, the most important part of this is your energy channel, okay? Well, we're going to come back to that in a second. But again, that's that feeling of like, I am attracting this. It feels so good, because that is like super powerful, okay? Common crystal grids, we went through these: abundance, citrine, green aventurine, jade, love, rose quartz, rhodochrosite, green aventurine. I'm going to send this to you guys. So one I don't think I mentioned is the grounding, which would be black tourmaline, smoky quartz, and onyx. Okay, so if you're feeling like all over the place, you know, for us air signs, like, you know, we need that. Like, whoa, grounding. Okay. And we like want to live in like spirit realm all the time. We're like, oh, I want to talk to my guides, and people are not my friends anymore. Only my guides. Okay. Some of you guys are like, yeah, yep, that's me. Okay. So this is a little fun layer of intention that I like to add on. If you guys have taken my course, you know this, because this is like super, super fun for me. This is a little feng shui chart of like your house. Okay. Why not put the grid in a place in your house that is actually for what you want to manifest, right? Layer of intention, right? I see some like, ooh, yeah, it's like really exciting. I know. I super, super love this. So if you want to, you know, manifest abundance, you put it in the back left corner of your house, the power, abundance, wealth room, okay? So you want to think about this right here, this self-career work. This is generally the front door, okay? This wall, the front door, okay? So however you're looking at your house from the front door, this is where these are, okay? So now everybody gets like really tripped up on this, like my house is facing north, my house is facing south, I don't know. This is your front of your house, this wall, okay? Blue, black, and silver, front wall of your house, okay? So if you want financial freedom and abundance, back left corner, okay? If you want love, marriage, relationship, right corner, back, right? Fame, you know, future and reputation. If you're like, I want to be famous and everybody to like me, put it in that room, okay? Or this is also kind of like your kind of career manifestation. So like where power and wealth and abundance is like that coming into your life. This is kind of where there's like some career energy, okay? Along with this front wall, okay? Which can be kind of weird because people can walk right into the career self, you know, area, depending on if your door is there. So sometimes I put that grid back here, which is my kitchen, the back part of my kitchen, because it's just going to be a better place. I generally think wherever the front door is, because I know somebody will probably ask about this, I put grounding crystals there all the time, protecting and grounding crystals, because somebody's entering my house and I want their energy to like be diffused, because this is my house, right? This is my place. It's my sanctuary, okay? So I don't generally put crystal grids right in the doorway, except for crystals over the door. Right over the door. Like people are like, yeah, well, it's not on top of your door. I'm like, no. Basically, my whole house is a grid. It's actually pretty cool. Okay. Everybody's like, we're going to go to Jen's house. So basically, you can take a look at this, and you can pick whatever room to set it in, which makes it even more powerful. Okay. What questions do you guys have on that? Anything? Right, so like family, health, and community. If somebody in your family or you are struggling with health, then this is a really good place to put a grid. And so, you know, you would want to choose a grounding grid for that, right? Generally with health, depending on what kind of health thing, you know, you want to think to yourself, do I want health to be sped up or do I want something to be slowed down? Okay, so a lot of times if it's like a cancer type thing, you don't want to use like adventuring and stuff like that because you actually want that to eliminate, not grow. Does that make sense? I just thought I'd throw that out there because I know a lot of people want to make grids for health for other people. Do I have a second floor? Yep, I have a second floor, same layout, okay? So again, imagine it's just the same as the first floor, okay? Generally your bedroom is going to be in like one of these areas, right? Depending. So it's the same. Imagine just it's another layer, just duplicated right from the front door, right? So it's really the same layout, okay? Just depending on how your rooms are configured and where they sit within that, okay? So this is a really fun thing to bring in, okay? So if you have questions on that, put it in the chat, but, you know, generally one grid at a time, put it where you think it goes and set it and then come back to it, okay? So that's the routine or the ritual that I want to talk to you guys about is just coming back to that. And it's so simple, right? How simple is it to stop in a room for like a few minutes a day and just feel something good? Like that's exciting anyway. Like, right, isn't that kind of like something you would want to do? You just like take 5 seconds and you say to yourself like, okay, I feel this, it feels good. And you kind of get yourself grounded and just experience that. I mean, it's quick meditation. It's quick visualization. And that's stuff that anybody can do anytime, right? I think sometimes with spirituality, we think like it has to be this big orchestration of things, right? It's going to take you like maybe 10 minutes max to set your grid. Maybe 10 minutes, okay? After you have your intention. And then it takes you maybe 2 minutes a day to come back to it. Maybe. You don't need to be meditating for like an hour every single day unless that's what you want to do. You don't need to have any, you know, like crazy, I don't even know, stuff. It doesn't have to be a big orchestration. You don't need to journal every morning if you don't want to journal every morning. You don't have to, you know, think about everything at night right before you go to bed. You don't, it's quite simple, right? It's all about being in the energy. So the big thing here is embodying spirituality, guys, is just literally thinking about feeling good and feeling good. And that will attract everything you want into your life. Law of attraction is not lost on anyone. It's not. It's the law of attraction. It's a law. It's the law of energy, okay? So you can't really screw it up, okay? Unless you are not in the right headspace, okay? So we're just going to go back to that for like 2 seconds. Let me read this little creating crystal, multiple of the same crystals. Yeah. So you would need enough citrine to place around the first ring and enough, however you want to do it. Second ring could be green aventurine. Third ring could be jade. So you do need multiples. Absolutely. You can also alternate every other if you want around, you know, if you want to switch it up a little bit, but yeah, you generally need multiples. Okay. So the only way that you can possibly screw this up, okay, there's only one thing that you can do to screw it up, okay, is if you're not in the right mindset, okay. So if I'm setting this grid, but I am in a place of complete lack and I don't actually believe my intention is going to come true, the law of attraction says I'm actually going to attract what I don't want, right? So make sure that when you're setting a crystal grid, because they're powerful, okay, that you're in the right headspace. So if you're like having like the worst day ever and you're like, oh, God, I do this crystal grid and I'm like, I don't want to, and it's the new moon and I'm putting all the stress on myself, forget it, right? If you can't get out of that, then you're going to end up attracting something you don't want to really attract, okay? Who can see examples of this in their life? You're like, oh, I attracted that, right? Even me, right? I'm like, why did I do that one thing? And then that I attracted that. And here's the thing. It can be really hard to get out of that vicious cycle, right? Because when we go down that path of negativity and then we attract an outcome, and then we're like, oh my gosh, I attracted that outcome, then we stay stuck in that energy and we keep attracting more and more and more and more. And this is how people go down the rabbit trail and they end up somewhere totally that they don't want to be, right? We can probably say a lot of the places that we've been in our lives that were not places we wanted to be were because of that happening, right? Modeling like was kind of a thing for me where I was like, I have to do that because that's what people think I should do. They're like always saying, you should be a model and you should be a model. So I did it. And then I was like miserable. And then I moved to New York City, even though I hated it. Right. And it was just this spiral thing. And then I developed all this crap and it got me so far away from what I knew when I was a kid, just because I couldn't get out of it. Right. It was just like, it kept going and going and going. And then I had to slowly find my way out by mindset shifting. Okay. So if you allow yourself to get into that place that doesn't feel good, you have to walk yourself out. Okay. And the easiest place to do that is to just look at your life and say, what am I grateful for? Okay. I'm grateful. And even if it's like all I got today is the fact that I'm alive. Right. My husband said that his grandfather used to say, it's a good day if I wake up on this side of the earth or something like that. You know, my feet are on this side of the earth or something. And right. Even if it's only that, walk yourself out and then set your grid. Okay. Walk yourself out and then think of that intention and that why and feel that and then set your grid. Okay. And it's okay if you have to say, you know what, not today, because I don't want to attract that. And so this is not just a law for crystal grids, guys. This is a law for your life, because you will keep going down that if you allow yourself to spiral. And that's how people end up in misalignment and attracting all sorts of things that just get them stuck in that cycle, because it's like compounding. Okay. So when that stuff happens and life gets super lifey, which it happens to all of us, doesn't matter how spiritual you are, you're not immune to it. Okay. It will happen to you. If it's not right now, it will happen. But when we put our mindset onto it and dwell in that space, it will keep going down that road, because the law of attraction makes it so. Okay. So you have to find ways to walk yourself out. So gratitude is the number one easiest tool that I have for you to walk yourself out. Okay. Think about all the things you're grateful for, all the things you get to experience, the fact that you're on here with me right now, learning this, right? You're learning powerful tools. Nobody is immune to blessings, right? I mean, there's got to be a law for that. I don't know what it's called, but everybody's got something. Okay. So the number one most important part of this is that your energy is good. Okay. Now, the second thing that you could do to shift your energy is use crystals on yourself. Okay. And that's where crystal healing comes in. Okay. Crystal healing helps us to clear any blockages in our body, in our mind, in our emotions that is preventing us from attracting what we want. Okay. So we can actually use the power of crystals. So say I'm like, not in that kind of space where I want to be. And then I use crystals and I balance, it works on the chakra system. I balance my chakras. I get that kind of whatever's on my mind, whatever is blocked in my body, whatever is kind of just sitting there that I feel like is immovable. If I use crystals to help that move, then I'm a clear energy channel. And that's why people do crystal healing. It's to make you a clear energy channel. I had somebody comment before this, and they said, I heard that the human body is just a big crystal. And I thought, wow, that's mind-blowing. I'm like, whoa, like, right? That's a crazy thought. But like, you have to be a clear channel, just like your crystal. If your crystal like feels wonky, you clear it. Right? So that's not like such a crazy thing. It's literally what we do with this. Why wouldn't we do that with ourselves? It's kind of a no-brainer, right? So crystal healing is another way that we can get that clear, aside from just thinking about gratitude. Okay. So I want to just read these quick, and then I'm going to set up a little crystal grid and show you guys. I'm going to kind of flip this screen and figure that out, but let's see. Grateful for this class. Oh, yay. Thank you. And I'm trying to stay on time, so I got 5 more minutes. To each of the crystals the same size. Relatively, you know. I wouldn't say like you'd want the giant, like a huge giant chunk like at the side of your crystal grid, because it's just going to look strange, right? But it's, again, it's more about your intention. So don't sit there and say like, this one's more like this one, and, you know, because then you're taking your mind off of, again, that intention. You're like getting too much in the headspace of it, right? So when we are, you know, it's, our mental space is different than our headspace. Do you guys know what I mean by that? Like our what we want for this is like a good mindset, which is totally different than the monkey mind, right? Monkey mind is like, am I doing this right? Are these matching? And that doesn't manifest anything, okay? It's actually kind of like neutral when we just kind of like, it's just kind of neutral, okay? So we want to be focused on that intention from a good mindset that's intentional versus like just all over the place. So don't even get into thinking like, does this match this? That's too much. Connect them clockwise. I go clockwise, but, you know, again, I go clockwise because they say that that's the way that the earth moves, clockwise, and that's also why I smudge 8 times clockwise. So again, you can get crazy with it. Look at all the numbers, like 108, I want to do 108 times, you know, whatever you want to do. But I do 8 with the smudging, and I do clockwise, okay, which can sometimes, you know, for some people, depending on if you're right or left-handed, it might be awkward. So again, you know, do what feels good. Okay, so I'm going to set up a crystal grid for you guys. So I'm going to stop share. Okay, and can you guys see me? Like, am I big on your screen? Okay, cool, because like Paige is big on my screen. I'm like, that's weird. Okay, so I'm going to set up a crystal grid. So can you guys see that? Yeah, shake your head. Yeah, good. Cool. Okay. So I would basically, you know, write my intention and put it on a piece of paper underneath this. This is my nice wooden crystal grid that I have. So I would, you know, put it right underneath that center. Okay. And then working from the outside in. So let me just grab my crystals. Okay. And we're going to do, let's do the abundance one just because, you know, that way you guys can see that one. A lot of people have seemed to want that one. And see, like, you know, these are 2 different types of kind of like green adventuring, and I'm like, oh, well, if I want to use these, you know, I want to use them. If I don't, then I put them to the side. Like, I'm like, that would make me feel weird about my grid, so. Okay, so quite simply, I can basically go around the grid, okay? So I do the outside first, which is the 3 points. So where they touch, see how this is touching? Okay, and I'm thinking about my intention. Okay, so again, this is touching the edge, 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 touching the edge. Okay, so that's ring number 1. And now I'm going to do citrine. So after you get the outside ring, it tends to be pretty easy because you're really just going like in between the next one, right? So I'm like in between, in between, in between, in between, in between, in between. Make sense? Okay. And then I'm just going to do clear quartz because that's what I have. But again, you could do jade, you could do citrine, okay? And then I just do in between, right? So in between, in between. So you're kind of right in between the next 2 always, okay? And if you notice, there's 6 on each rung, okay? And now I have my center, okay? So that's where I set it, okay? And then I have my, I'm gonna actually grab a quartz point because this one's smoky quartz, okay? So I start at the outside, connect the dots. I'm thinking about my intention, connect the dots, next row. Connect the dots, next row, connect the dots, back to the center, okay? So I'm gonna do that one more time. Connect the dots, first row, connect the dots, second row, connect the dots, third row, connect to the center, okay? all while thinking about my intention. And now I can leave this up. This would be in the back left-hand corner of my house, okay? And I would be thinking about my intention. Does everybody see that nice and good? Yeah? Cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna move this out of the way so I don't fling it somewhere. Okay, so what questions do you guys have really quick? Got a few more minutes. Can I switch the view? I don't know if I can, but I can pan it down again. Let's see. It's bigger in the top right. Did you guys all see it big? Because I'm big on yours. Yeah, so it's just because of me and you, Paige. So if you guys can see it. Okay. So let's see if I can make, I'm not sure how to make myself a big one, actually. Let's see. Pin video. There we go. Okay. There we go. So nice and big. Okay. So again, let me just connect that one more time. So first ring, 6, second ring, 6, always in between, right? So this guy, in between is the next row. In between these is the next row, okay? Connect, 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 and the next row connect right into the center, okay? So again, always start with the outside row, which is where the 3 connect to the actual circle, okay? So 3, 3, okay? It's like almost looking at little flowers. You can see like a little flower here. So it's this little half cut flower, okay? Okay, so any other questions? Got to run. Thank you. Thank you guys for showing up. Let me just share screen really quick. So if you guys want to learn about crystal healing and how to use that every day, again, I make this stuff pretty simple. If you can't tell, I like to really just kind of make it like, you know, crystals are magical and wonderful, but they don't need to be rocket science, okay? They can be simple, okay? So if you want to learn about using crystals every day, then crystal healing, the crystal healing course is for you. That's how we keep our energy channel super, super clear, okay? It's all about balancing your chakras and easy ways that you can do that every single day so that your crystal grids are way more powerful and that you're using the law of attraction every day as you go about your life, okay? So for all of you guys that were on, you know, this masterclass, I have a little special for you guys. Normally the class is $259 and right now it's $195. So I will make sure that you guys all get the link. Paige is going to take care of the link. She probably has it in the chat. You know, she's amazing about sharing stuff. So I'm sure that it's, you know, up in the chat right now. But, you know, I'm going to send this all to you guys via email, all the slides from this class. So you can print out your grid, you can get that, and that will have the link. So, you know, I would love to teach you guys in the course. We have a really super amazing community of people that have taken the course. There's people on here right now that have taken the course and still love to come hang out with me when I teach stuff that even they know from taking the course. But it's nice to have a community where you can really feel like supported and that you can bounce different stuff off of, because, you know, I'm in there all the time answering questions, but I think one of the bigger things, the bigger pictures here is that you guys find people that you can connect to, you know, that can feel like a community, because the big thing is to feel supported in this venture of your life, you know. Not everybody that you hang out with might be into crystals. They might think it's weird. They might think a crystal grid's insane, you know, but there's people that don't, and there's people that get what you're about, you know. And I think feeling disconnected from other people and feeling like we don't fit in is what gets us into some of those really blocked places in our lives. So it's important to have a community, okay? So I'm going to let you guys go on that. I'm sure in the chat there's a ton of things that just say, yep, so there's a link in there if you guys want to check it out. But thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. It was really amazing, and thank you guys for being so open and sharing stuff, you know, with me in the chat. And, you know, if you need me, just send me a message. You know, if you have a question, I'd be more than happy to help. But go and set up your grids and have fun. Okay, I'll let you guys go. See ya. I know I just like want to see all the things that you guys are seeing. Okay, have a good night, guys.